I'm out here working on the truck, and I am having some issues with it running, and I think that it is related to the fuel injector system. I get some intermittent rough idling, and I'm going to I've already changed the fuel filter. There is the new filter in place. Got the retaining clamp on in front. I'll have to see if I can get one for the rear, but I have a positive snap click in the back, so it's not going to come off. But anyway, it's not a horribly tough changeover, but you know, wear some safety glasses because gas is going to be dripping. Undo the fill your gas tank cap, release the pressure in the tank so that it doesn't spray fuel out through the line, and other than that, it's a pretty easy repair to make. In this case, I used wherever the blue spring clip removal tool is. There's the one there. That one was the size of the pipe, but it was too small to make the O-ring spring clip in the fuel line release, so I got the next larger size, which was larger than the pipe, but it was large enough to get the retaining spring clip to release. So okay, we're done. It took about 10 minutes. And that didn't improve things. And now what I'm going to do is test the pressures in the fuel filter system. And so I have a fuel gauge here. Okay. And I'm going to connect it up to the fuel pressure test port, which is right here. You can't see it because of the lighting problem, but so let me connect the gauge up to that. It's a Schrader valve on the fuel rail, and the fuel gauge fitting just screws onto that, opens up the Schrader valve, and you get pressure reading on the gauge. Alright, let me get this set up. Okay, so we just pull that cap off. Looks like a cap on a bike tire. Then we're going to put this on. And so you see it has a adapter here that screws onto the hose and then onto the valve. And you have to make sure everything is all tightened up before you fire up the engine, otherwise you're going to get fuel spraying all over. Okay, we are tight. So let's position our gauge where we can see it. This is a bleed off hose for when you have fuel in the line and you are going to remove it. You push the button on the side of the valve hose here, and it releases the fuel pressure inside so that you can do it. Okay, so what we are looking for is 39.93 pounds of pressure in the fuel system, and the way we are going to do that is to simply turn the key on and the fuel pump will run, but we're not going to run the engine. We just want to have it pressure up. Alright, let me go and turn the key. So you see there we are at 39 pounds of pressure, and it does want to be just a little bit higher than that. I'm going to make sure I have my hoses all tight. Okay. Okay, hoses are all tight. Let me go turn the key one more time. Okay, so the gauge is actually at just shy of 40 pounds pressure. We are not seeing any drop in pressure. So that means the check valve to the fuel pump, fuel tank, is working, and it doesn't appear that any of the injectors are leaking because our fuel pressure is holding steady. This is just a short measurement here. Usually you would want to do that for a longer period of time, but while the car is running, and if it's holding pressure, this is good enough. It should be reliable. So let me run the engine and see what happens with the pressure. It should be, I think, 33 pounds. Okay, we are at 32 pounds, maybe 33. So our pressure is where it's supposed to be. Now what I'm going to do is disconnect the vacuum line from the fuel pressure regulator on the other side of the fuel rail, and the pressure should increase up to about 40 pounds. It should go up 8 pounds. All right, let's go over and pull that. So up here is the fuel pressure regulator. I need to get a bucket to stand on. All right, let's see what we get. Okay, so looking into the vacuum line and feeling the hose fitting on the regulator, you can see that there's no fuel, so the diaphragm inside of that is good. Now let's go look at what the pressure did. We've jumped up to 42 pounds, and now I will go and push the hose back onto the regulator, and it should drop back down to 32. Okay, and you see we are back down to 32, a little over 32 pounds. So the regulator, the fuel pressure, fuel pump, all of that is working properly. Now let me get a stethoscope and we'll listen to the injectors. Okay, so what I have here for a stethoscope is a length of 1/2-inch PEX pipe. I'm going to put the microphone in one end and then touch the fuel injectors, and we'll be listening for the sound of the injectors. Okay, so all of the injectors do sound similar. You can hear a distinct ticking. So now let's check and see what the resistance values on them are. Okay, about 16.4 on the first one. 14.3 on the second. Let me recheck the first. And now we're at about 21. Okay, 14.4 on the third. Okay. Let me disconnect the fuel gauge, fuel pressure tester. Push the button, release the pressure. Okay. Okay, let me see if I can get this last one back here. That's going to be a heck of a reach. 16.4. Okay. Right now the fuel injectors are all specking out pretty much okay, except for the front right one. Okay, start her up. See, it starts right up. Sounds nice up here too. It's got a nice smooth run to it. You don't see the engine shaking very much, so it's running smoothly. Okay, so I guess we're kind of it was running rough, as you can see in the earlier part of this video, and then over the last few days driving and tinkering with it, it has started to run better again. I do have that front right injector that has a higher ohm rating than the others, and I still have to check the other two. I just can't reach them right now. So, alright, that concludes this video up until I figure out decidedly what the issue is, or if there even is an issue now. Things don't just self-correct. They might run better for a while, but if there's a problem, it will come back. So we are over here and we're going to try and diagnose what is wrong with the fuel injection or a ignition coil. But you hear the misfire. Let's try and undo a fuel injection plug and see if we can spot a cylinder that runs rougher. Okay, so you hear a change in the running there. You can hear a change in it there. Okay, so number 3 is suspect. Let's see what we get with number 4. Kind of tight to get my big hands in there. You can hear a change in number 4. Let's try the other side. Here's number 5. And there's a little change.
I can hear a little bit of a speed up on the idle. Number 6. You can hear a significant change on number 6. Number 7. And you hear a drop in RPM. 7's plugged back in. Let's try 8. It's going to be hard when it's way back here. And you can hear a little bit of a drop on 8. Okay, so now we're back to our chug. Here is a good way to be able to test. I need to get a ground on here, so I am going to turn that to where I can see it. Connect the navigator clip to the anode and to a ground source. And now let's go run the engine and see what we get. Should see spark if it's a good coil. And as you can see, there is a good healthy spark in the plug, so the coil is good. Okay, I am going to pull off the fuel rail. That is this here. You see there's a fuel injector under it. So we're just going to unplug the fuel injectors and put the plug aside and get that ready to lift off. Okay, and then there are two 8mm bolts, one here and one there on each side. So we're going to unscrew those and we just lift straight up. Here is the little ratchet I'm going to use, and we got the right direction set. Yep. So let's loosen that off. So this is the cheap way to try and fix your fuel injection issues. Rather than buying new injectors, I am going to try and clean them using the method where you set up a grommet on a spray tube from a can of carb cleaner that fits snugly into the base of the fuel injector, and then you spray into the fuel injector and clean it, blow out the junk. And theoretically you can probably do that with one of those spray cleaners that connects into the fuel rail, and you would hook those up here. You see on top of the fuel rail is that little Schrader valve here, and you can hook those cleaning systems up to that, and those might do the job. But the advantage of doing this is you can backflow your injectors when they're off the truck. And that's what I'm going to be doing, is doing a backflow on them, and that clears out the junk from both directions. And so cleaning the fuel injectors this way costs maybe $10 for spray cleaners and a couple of hours of time, but the advantage is that if it works, you fixed your fuel system on the cheap. And if it doesn't work, then you go and buy yourself a bunch of new fuel injectors. And depending on the quality level that you want, you can get the $75 each version. And there's a better one. Come on, get on there. A better $150 version. And you can also buy, oh, I guess I'm going to need a longer extension. Hang on. Okay, so I have the longer extension here. So let's get this bolt removed. There we go. You know, I'm pretty sure that I have flipped the phone over. I'll figure it out. Let's see if that will let me do it by hand here. If we can find a spot to put that there. And there. Okay, good. I can do this by hand.
Okay, now that you are opening up the fuel system, turn off the fuel pump breaker, remove the fuel pump fuses, do not turn on the key, make sure the system stays off, do not pump gas.
See if I can do that by hand. Yep. Okay, so since we're working on around the fuel system, power's off, keys out of the ignition. You do not want to start your truck now because the fuel is loose. Okay, let's lift up the rail here. First, let's unplug the injectors. And this side's a little harder to record. Not as much working space. And that last injector there is kind of a hard one to reach. It's on the back side. I have to move my stepping bucket over. Okay, so you see that last injector, and the plug is on the back side of the fuel rail here. Let's see if I can get a shot of it. Probably not. Okay, there. And it's off, and fuel rail is ready to pull up. Is everything loose? I believe. Yeah, it's ready to go. Let's go and lift the other side out.
Okay, here's the first couple. Let's get the back one out. There. Okay. So, yeah, if you look in the holes for the injectors, you can kind of see that there's ookie in there, if we can get a shot of it. There we go. Okay, so you can see that there is gunk in there. Alright, let me pause this. Alright, let me see if I can get this out of here. Just a quick pull. And there we go. Okay. So that's the first one. Let's go pull out the rest of them. Okay. I'll twist off this one. Just gonna wiggle it back and forth, back and forth. Okay, there's number 2. Get off of there. There we go. Okay, let's get number 4 out there. And number 4 is going to be a hard one because it's all the way back. Oh, good. That wasn't nearly as bad as I was expecting. Okay. Let's see if I can get these out of here now. Positioning the camera. Okay. How does that look? Let's go. Almost. There. Alright, let's get this one off. Alright, and there's number 5. Okay, there's number 8. Ooh, 7, that just popped right out. And number 6. Okay, there we go. All right, we got all the injectors out. All right, so if you are going to be handling things that have solvent on them for a while, you're going to want to have some rubber gloves on.
And let that so. Now let us just check these resistances real quick. They're supposed to be between 8 and 11 ohms. So what is this? First one is, oh, that's 14. That's a little high. Well, consistent. Not getting a good read on that. Okay, 14 ohms. And just so you know, we are reading, you see these two little tabs inside of there. You just put your probes onto that, and there you go, you'll see the resistance. So let's try for another one. Try to do it chopstick style to hurry it up. And that is 14 ohms again. That's good. Oops. 14. Well, so far so good. Everything's specking out. 14. 14. And 14. Well, good. They all spec out about the same. Okay, for this step here, you are going to remove the O-ring off the top of the injector, the yellow part, the yellow end, and you're going to spray the injector with parts cleaner, carburetor cleaner, parts cleaner, whichever. So the O-ring comes off the top easily. There's another O-ring on the bottom, and you can remove that, but it's harder to remove, and you want to leave the Pentel cap on the bottom there. You see that cap on the bottom. So you do not want to remove that yet. You'll take it off later, but you need that on there because it is the same size as the top of the injector, and you're going to be making a hose adapter that will connect to the red straw on a spray can of like brake cleaner or carburetor cleaner, parts cleaner, but it'll go to the red straw and adapt to that so that you can use those spray cans to forward and backward flush the injectors. You're also going to need a 9-volt battery and a couple of little electrical leads with alligator clips and insulated clips with rubber over the alligator connectors would be good so you don't have short issues, and possibly have 2 9-volt batteries on hand, and I'll show you that coming up soon. Okay, spraying into the screen. Now doing the housing, the terminals. Yeah, it's doing a pretty good job of cleaning everything off. Now 8. Get the screen, stick the tube into the screen hole, spray it. Now start spraying the body of it. Stuff's coming off pretty good with this. Get the terminals, get the 4 holes, the injector holes down there. Okay, so that is all 8. Okay, so I am making my little adapter to inject cleaner into the spark plug. So what I've done is taken some fuel line and cut off a little section of it. I think it's 1/4 inch, maybe 5/16 inch fuel line. And I've stuck a straight probe through there to puncture a hole. Now let's see if we can get a straw from the carburetor cleaner in there. Always the hard part. But you want to get a nice tight fit. Okay, and you can see it's just popping through in there. I think you can see that. Okay. All right. So now we're going to do the reverse on it. And let me get a little hose clamp. And we need to loosen that up a tad. I need to get my tiny screwdriver. Okay, tiny screwdriver found. So loosen that up a couple turns. Hopefully we can get it on. It's always more fun when things work the way they're supposed to than if they don't. Okay, and you can see that that end is snug up, or all the way up inside there, so that there's only a little bit of volume in there, and the injection area will fill up quickly. Okay, so we've got our rubber hose on, and now let's snug down our hose clamp. Okay. Okay. Then I've got my 9-volt battery here. And this is just a little side note here. This is why you want to use a little 9-volt battery, because it doesn't have a lot of energy behind it. It has enough power to actuate the solenoid in the fuel injector, but it doesn't have enough current capacity to damage your wires and burn the wires and possibly burn your hands. So this is what happens when you hook it up to a 12-volt car battery. If you just, even for an instant, accidentally touch these tips, the positive and the negative tips together, you get this. So that is just one little tip. Use a 9-volt battery, not a 12-volt car battery. Okay. I don't believe it matters which side you connect to, but we will know in a second. It's always handy when your clips fall off. Okay, let's see if we can hear the click when we touch the terminal. stay on there. Okay, so we have a click. Let's see if there's a difference in the click the other way. No, it sounds about the same. Okay, so we are backflowing it. If I can get the hose in there, the little tube in the nozzle. Okay, that's the forward direction. Let's dry things off. Where is our, there we go. Okay, let's dry off the injector. And now we're going to put it on the forward direction. These alligator clips aren't the strongest. Okay, let's hook the thing up again. Click and let us. Okay, so you see we've got 3 sprays coming through. And back spray again. And we're losing our stuff. Not a fan of connecting flammable liquids with that spark. And now forward flush again, or reverse flushing. Okay, and one more back flush, or one more regular flush. Okay. Okay. Technically, that is considered a clean injector now. Alright, so keep on doing all 8 injectors using the same procedure. Forward flush, back flush, forward flush. Make sure that you are getting, for this injector, 4 streams. Some are a single, some are 2. But pretty much any injector, any top feed injector like this will be cleanable using the same technique. And then we are going to clean them a second time tomorrow. And so we'll just continue cleaning these out tonight, and then tomorrow come out and give it a repeat clean just to make sure that everything is functioning properly. All right, let's hook this one up. To our little 9-volt battery power leads. Yeah, I can do it either way. Well, it doesn't fit tight that way now. Okay, so let's just flush it on out. Okay, so we do have 4 injection hoses there, so that's looking good. So this kind of throws a little wrench into my works because of these little plastic tips being cracked. So I'm going to have to check into that on the internet here in a minute. So I guess we'll go and do that here now. But good. So I've got that squared away. I've got my parts bin here. I can just leave that. Disconnect my little battery. Okay, so there you go. We've got the injectors over here, and that's that one cap here that's missing, cracked off on number 8, and then also the one here I believe has cracks in it too, number 6. So we are going to go and check all those out here in a minute on the internet and see what we get. Okay, so let us go back over. Here's how I made my little fitting to spray the injectors. It's just a piece of fuel line, and then I got 2 of these here, little pieces. Set the tripod. Okay, so I have that piece of fuel line, and I took one piece that would fit inside of the fuel line like that. Of course it was a smaller piece, so probably like that. Then I got a smaller one to go inside of this, and so you see how that is on the back side. Maybe, I don't know if that's bright enough. Let me get a flashlight to go this way. Okay, there, so you can see how I've got those 2 rubber pieces, and they fit in tight, and then I poked a hole through the small inner one with my probing tool. It's just a point, and I shoved that through. Didn't drill or anything, but it was enough to shove the orange tube through, and it fits tight enough to make a nice tight fitting that doesn't spray solvent back out through it. Then we have this end here that you can see inside of that. Let's see there. Okay, so you can see inside where the red tube comes through the inner, I guess that they are plugs for various vacuum hoses. You buy a kit with about 8 different sizes in there, and so I put 2 sizes together to make this, and it worked out really well. Then I made the fuel line as short as possible because I only need to go a tiny bit onto the injector. You see how the injector lines up here. I'm trying to spot it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's the injector there, and you see the top of the injector. Okay. Okay. And then this rubber piece comes right down into about here, so there's maybe 1/8 of an inch of space between the two, and that allows for very little space inside, so when I press this hose spray cap down, it fills immediately and doesn't waste very much. Okay, and then all of these spec'd out good too. Let me just for kicks go and check these resistances again. Okay, so let's check number 3 was kind of a suspect one. So I'm going to do these chopstick style again. Okay, let's see what we get for ohmage. The injectors will all spec close to 14 volts. 13.9 to 14.2 is the range, and we will do another cleaning tomorrow. Okay, 14.1. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so that appears to be as good of a view looking down into the injectors as I can get. And the screens don't actually look to be all that bad. There's like maybe a couple little crustaceans on the screens, probably from water that was in the fuel or something got in there, but for the most part the screens do actually look clear. Trying to get my focus on there. So yes, there's those little brown crustaceans on the screen down in there, but for the most part, the vast majority of screen area looks to be clear. So this one here is about the worst one that I've seen, but it doesn't look like it's all that big of a deal internally. As I say, it's just little tiny parts of a screen area. That one there, that's got a bit of it down there too, but the vast majority of area is free. Last one. So a little crust at the bottom. So I'm going to give these another cleaning. Let's see if I can get that out. And so you see this here is one of the tips that is messed up. So I'm going to buy a kit that has the tip, a replacement ring here. This tip holds the bottom O-ring in so it doesn't suck down into the manifold. And then we have another O-ring up here. So the kit is O-ring, disc, and cap. And I think I'll be okay without changing the screens, just because I don't want to wait the week to get them. I mean, I have things to do, places to go, people to see, And if I'm not mobile, I'm not living. But all of these injectors were working pretty good during the testing, so you see the 4 holes in there. So yeah, the only injector that's got kind of a little bit of scratch damage is that one there. Thought there was another one that had a little bit of scratch on it. Yeah, so that's the only injector that seems to have a little bit of something going on with it, but no big deal. Okay, so that's it. I'm gonna go get new seal kit, and I'll do those tonight, and then assemble the fuel rail and injectors into the intake manifold tomorrow. All right, we are going to continue on with cleaning, rebuilding our Ford F-250 Bosch fuel injectors. So we have to remove this pentel cap, this ring, and we're going to do a little more cleaning. In fact, I'm going to do the clean here right now because I need that cap on there to be able to attach my hose adapter. It doesn't want to be. There we go. So I've got my power there. So then we connect our power lead up to one side of the injector and the other power lead up to the other connector on the injector. And you hear that? That's the click of it engaging. Then we are going to put our clean out adapter on there. It's a little bit cold, so the rubber's not stretching. I'm going to loosen my clamp a little tiny. There we go, it just pops right on, and then we'll clean it. Watch for the 4. Take out my glasses here so I can see for sure. Oops, that wasn't good. That's why you wear gloves and glasses. Okay, so I'm getting 4 good streams out of that. I'm going to just try and reverse clean it. So I get a little bit out of there, but not a lot. All right, let's cut off this. Just take a utility blade and gently cut down on it. You don't want to cut into the metal because the metal is going to be okay, there we go. So you can see everything there is fairly clean. I'm just going to go give everything a little bit of a wipe over. Put a little degreaser, parts cleaner solvent on the paper towel. And do a little more cleaning on the body. Just for good measure, I guess. But yeah, it's looking good. It's looking clean. Okay, so let's take the first kit and put that on our injector. Our injector is spraying the way it's supposed to be. So hopefully this will work. Okay, so on the bottom, first you put this little plastic disc, and then you put your O-ring, and then you try to snap on the new Pentel cover, and I believe that you use a socket for this. Something that is just the size of it that you can push it on with. Okay, I have a 10mm socket that I'm going to use to press this in, and I'm just going to heat this up a little bit, make it a little more pliable. I've got my heat gun on a low setting and I'm not holding it close, I'm just warming it up. My hand will tell me if it gets too hot. Alright, so here goes. It's a 10mm socket. That fits right into it, and press on, and that just pops right on. So good deal, that was easy. Keep it clean. Okay. Now we need the O-ring for the top. And there you go. That is a rebuilt fuel injector, except for the ring or the screen in the top. So, all right, let's set this aside on a clean paper towel, and we will do another one. Okay. So let's do the cleaning process on here one more time just to make sure. I'm going to back blow this one, hook up my electrodes here, or my power, and you hear the solenoid in there clicking away. Okay, and there are four, you can see 4 trails there. Let's just see if we get any sort of a back flush. And if you disconnect the power, you'll see that there's no fuel goes through the injector. Okay. So now we can start rebuilding this injector. And we cut off the pintail. Okay, that one just snapped, which is fine with me. Blade to spread it, and now let's just pop it off. Oh, come on, let's go. I should probably grab a pair of pliers. Let me go grab a pair of pliers. That'll make my life much better. Okay, there we go. My little crescent. Long, short nose, long stem plier. Best plier on the market. Hard to find though. And there it goes. Okay, take off the ring there. And let's give it a quick wipe down here again. Spray some degreaser on it. On my paper towel and clean her up. Okay, let's get out another rebuild kit. Okay, put on the top O-ring. Okay, top O-ring is on. Put on the plastic spacer ring down here. Slip on the O-ring. And then that. And then let me just warm it up a little bit. Low setting on my heat gun. My hands will tell me if it's getting too hot. I don't need to get hot, I just need to get warm because it's 38 degrees out here, and that's not good for plastic parts, if you know what I mean. Okay, that should be that. Grab my 10mm socket to press it on. And there it is. Perfect. And just to compare this to, well, I guess I don't have an old O-ring to compare it to, but yeah, it is kind of interesting. These plastic caps are slightly different than the brown ones. I can see that they are fitting right over the spray ports in there. I don't know if you can quite see the spray ports, but it is fitting snug, and it's also fitting tighter against the O-ring, so hopefully that will give us a good seal. We'll use some like some 30 weight oil to lube the O-ring as we slide it in. So there is the number 2 is done. And 10mm socket to press in. And there we go. So we have got 8 complete rebuilt fuel injectors. Okay, so let's get a cleaning rag, and we're going to move over to the truck and start working on that. This here is a cleaning cloth. I'm going to use this to clean out the injector holes because it's a little tougher than a paper towel. Alright, we have a vacuum tip for it. 'Okay, kids, it is time to put a dab of oil on the O-rings. So I have some Castrol . 1040 weight. So we're just going to put it over the O-rings. That will help us to slip things together more easily. Okay, let's go shove number 1 in over here. And there goes number 1. Lift the fuel rail out of the way, and let's try to squiggle it on down, and it just pops right on in. That's nice. Okay, let's pop that in. Oh, thank you so much. I just love it when things fall to the ground. Okay. Number 2. Grease off all my camera crap. Okay, here we go. And number 2 just pops right in. And it definitely feels more snug than they were before. So that's a good thing. Okay, let me get the others here. Okay, so we've got all of these ones that popped in. Now let's pop the fuel rail on. Okay, there's one. Four's not quite lined up. There we go. Okay. That seemed easier than it should have been. Okay. I'll take easier than it should have been over harder than it should have been any day of the week. Let's put the bolts on. The front one on. Okay, let me get the back one on. Always a good feeling. Okay, let me dry my hands off here quick. Just finish tightening this one by hand. The front one. Press it down on the top of the rail. I don't think it's going to make much difference, but if it gets just a little more down compression on all the components, so much the better. Okay, that's good. It's just going into a plastic manifold, so it doesn't have to be incredibly tight. All right, let's plug everything back together. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3. I am very anxious to see how this is going to run. It's either going to do great or it's going to be no improvement. Okay, so those are all on. Spark plug wires are connected, or the coils are connected. Let's make sure that is coming in here, and the PVC is down, and all right, we're good to go on this side. Let's do the other side. Yes, working in the dark, personal favorite. Okay, here goes number 1. And there you go. Nice fit. I guess I can just put the plug in right now. Didn't seem to bother anything on the other side. Okay, there's 1. There goes number 2. Okay, there's 2. Number 3's in. Hook up the plug. Okay, and let's get last one, kind of almost the hardest one to reach. Of course, save the worst for the clock. And did it go in or not? Looks like it's in. Yeah, it's in. Good. Okay, fuel rail. Figure out what we got going here. Some vacuum hose I need to put back on there too. Okay. Okay, everything is in position. Okay, those are on. Okay, that's on. On. Excellent. Okay. Let's put a bolt in. There's the first one. Second bolt started. Okay, we grab the socket. I'll finish tightening all those on. Okay, just about there. It's going to hopefully be a big success story. There's that one. There's that one. Okay. Let's put the ratchet on. I need the extension. Where'd the extension go? There we are. Get my hand in there. Okay. Alright, so the fuel injection is fixed, but I've got to deal with this here pipe. This thing here goes into a hose on the back of the throttle body. So I can find that. I kind of have to reach blindly over there. I've had this thing pop off on me before up in the mountains, and the truck don't like running none too much at all without it. There we go. That's right. Okay, so these are all good. You can see the fuel rails are all snapped down, so let's go fire up the truck and see what we get. Sounds like there might be something of a miss in there. Okay, so you listen to the truck here, and it is idling away beautifully. No roughness, no misses, very smooth. Injectors successful rebuild on the injectors. Let's hop back up inside here and listen to the engine. So, I know it's possible there is a coil that's not working quite. The problem we had in there was with the number 3 coil right there with the lights on. And the problem with that was, I think that what might have happened was when I took the fuel rail off, fuel flowed down into the spark plug hole. And that was causing a short in the spark, so that I wasn't getting good spark on from the ignition of the coil, the spark plug. Okay, so anyway, listen to that baby purr. It is very, very smooth running right now. Here, and it is idling away beautifully. No roughness, no misses, very smooth. Still sounds like there might be something of a miss in there, and the smoke coming out of the exhaust is very humid. You do not smell, it does not smell like exhaust at all. Okay. That concludes rebuilding the fuel injectors, and a very successful project. The truck runs great. It has a lot more power, a lot of pickup and get up and go. So I'm very happy with it. It was a fraction of the cost of buying rebuilt injectors or new injectors. The new injectors could have cost anywhere from $350 to $1,000 a set. So, and I got all this done for a couple of hours of time and about $80 worth of parts and solvents and cleaners and stuff. So, alrighty. See you on the next video. Found this little tiny frog dried up on top of my intake manifold. Kind of an interesting little bugger. Looks almost like a little tiny dinosaur. But he was right down in there. Right by the number 3 spark plug, which I just pulled out and found that there was a bunch of water. And one of the things that happens on these trucks is that the hood closes right there, and every once in a while water drops down from here right onto the number 2 and number 3 spark plugs. They fill with water and then they short out and don't run. You can do that either in a heavy rainstorm or when you simply wash your truck. Okay, and it can also happen on this side here, so I'm going to check that side here in a second. Okay. And it's very simple to do. All these coils have one screw on top of them. You see there. You unscrew that, unplug it there, and pull it up. And if it's wet, then you grab your compressor and you just get an air nozzle and blow it out, and you're good to go again. All right. Archie, good boy. Are you helping Dad edit a video? Good boy. What a good boy. Want a free sniff? What's that? Huh? What is that? What is that? Atta boy. Hey, Arch, thanks for helping. You're a good boy. Just don't sit on the laptop keyboard again like you like to do. He loves getting on the keyboard. And then he made a whole bunch of changes, unauthorized, and started up 3 other programs. Raised a real hullabaloo on the computer. Okay, so there, that's the quick RG break. Hey, good boy. Good boy. Want to say hi to anyone? Huh? Want to say hi? What a good boy.